There's a kind of brokenness that doesn't scream. It doesn't leave scars or show up in medical reports. It moves quieter than pain, deeper than trauma. It looks like functioning. It looks like politeness. It looks like someone who says I'm fine and means it almost. But underneath, something is off, and you know it. You feel disconnected, not from others, but from yourself. Like you're showing up in your life, but not in it. Like your body's going through the motions, but your soul is somewhere else. You laugh, you respond, you work, you post, but something's missing. Not outside, inside, and you can't quite explain it. People will tell you it's stress, that it's just burnout. They'll recommend journaling, cold showers, dopamine detoxes. But the truth is, what you're feeling has nothing to do with productivity. It's not about habits. It's about disconnection, a fracture, not between you and the world, but between you and your inner world. You see, most people don't realize this. You can live an entire life that looks healed, but still be broken in the places that matter most. Because healing isn't about fixing. It's about remembering. Remembering who you were before you were told who to be, before you bent yourself into shapes that made others comfortable, before your needs felt like burdens and your emotions became too loud for someone else's comfort. That kind of forgetting leaves wounds, invisible ones. And this kind of brokenness doesn't get healed through routines. It gets healed when you stop running from the root. So, if you've ever felt like something is wrong with you, like you're too sensitive, too detached, too lost to ever really feel whole again, this might be the first moment you're actually waking up. Because what if nothing is wrong with you? What if the reason you feel broken is that you've finally stopped betraying yourself? There's a difference between being broken and being unrecognized. Some of the most broken people you meet are just those who've never been fully seen, not by lovers, not by parents, not even by themselves. They've been mirrored only in fragments, rewarded when they were agreeable, punished when they were honest, loved when they were useful, ignored when they were real. So they learned the world didn't have space for their wholeness, only their fragments. And here's the tragic twist. After enough time, they began relating to themselves the same way, policing their joy, downplaying their pain, questioning their own intuition, just because it didn't match someone else's narrative. This isn't brokenness. It's learned emotional amputation. You cut off parts of yourself so early that you forgot you ever had them. That's why healing can feel so uncomfortable, because it's not just soothing pain, it's reintroducing yourself to everything you locked away to survive. And sometimes, what you locked away was your capacity to feel love without fear, to trust without rehearsing betrayal, to rest without guilt, to be alone without being lonely. These aren't things you can just achieve with mindset hacks. They come back when you return to yourself, when you stop seeking proof that you're worthy, and start remembering that you were never not. You weren't broken. You were edited by a world that fears wholeness, by systems that profit from your self-doubt, by people who only knew how to love conditionally, because that's all they ever received. So here's the truth. You don't need to become anything. You just need to stop abandoning who you already are. That exhaustion you feel, that numbness, it's not proof you're failing. It's a signal, a sign that your soul is tired of the performance, tired of dimming itself for people who mistake shadows for safety. You're not broken. You're unfinished, and you're standing at the edge of remembering. There's something important most people miss when they say they're healing. They think healing is about feeling better. But sometimes, real healing feels worse. At first, because the moment you stop numbing, is the moment everything you've been avoiding returns. Grief, rage, guilt, memories you swore you'd buried so deep they'd never crawl back. But healing isn't about erasing your past. It's about making peace with it, without letting it define you anymore. And here's the twist. Your pain isn't what's making you stuck. It's your resistance to it. The stories you tell yourself about why you shouldn't feel this way. The shame you carry for not being over it yet. The way you pretend you're okay so nobody gets uncomfortable. But your emotions are not the enemy. They're messages, carriers of forgotten truths. When you numb anger, you numb boundaries. When you avoid grief, you avoid depth. When you repress sadness, you cut yourself off from empathy. You start mistaking disconnection for peace. You call it growth when you're really just shrinking quietly inside. Here's the paradox. The more you allow yourself to feel, the faster you'll stop being ruled by your feelings. Because feeling doesn't mean drowning. It means opening the door, sitting with what shows up, and listening long enough to learn. You're not broken for still feeling the sting of old wounds. That's proof they mattered, that you mattered. And if you ever feel like healing is taking too long, remember this: you're not late. You're just unlearning decades of survival in a world that taught you to abandon yourself. That's not weakness. That's sacred rebellion. Every tear you didn't let fall, every scream you silenced, every version of yourself you locked in the basement of your being, they're waiting for you. Not to blame you, but to return to you, fully, finally, without conditions. And once you open that door, you'll realize the thing you feared most was never the pain. It was your own power. Most people don't realize this, but what we call brokenness is often just misunderstood adaptation. You weren't born disconnected. You weren't born anxious, people-pleasing, or constantly questioning your worth. You learned those patterns. You became hyper-aware of people's moods because unpredictability used to mean danger. You kept quiet because your voice once triggered punishment or silence. You chased unavailable people because love was modeled as something you had to earn. So no, you're not broken. You're brilliantly adapted. But here's the problem. The adaptations that kept you safe back then are now the exact things keeping you stuck. You're not self-sabotaging. You're self-protecting, based on outdated blueprints. Your nervous system is still reacting to old threats that don't exist anymore, which means healing is less about fixing yourself and more about updating your internal map. You have to teach your body that safety doesn't require shrinking anymore, that speaking up won't result in abandonment. That rest isn't laziness, it's medicine. You have to retrain your instincts to trust peace, not just chaos. Because when chaos is familiar, peace feels suspicious, love feels boring, kindness feels fake. You push away what's good, cling to what hurts, and wonder why nothing feels real. But listen closely. That's not your fault. It's just your wiring. The miracle is, you can rewire it. Every time you pause instead of panic, every time you breathe through the urge to self-abandon, every time you let love in without testing it, you're changing the code. It doesn't happen in one grand breakthrough. It happens in micro moments. 1,000 tiny choices that tell your system, we're not in the past anymore. We're safe now. It's okay to feel. It's okay to rest. It's okay to let go. And slowly, you will, not because you forced healing to happen, but because you finally stopped trying to become someone better, and instead remembered who you were, before the world convinced you that being yourself was dangerous. That's not just healing. That's homecoming. There's a quiet moment in the healing journey that no one warns you about. It's not dramatic. It doesn't come with tears or breakthroughs. It's not even something you can post about. It's the moment you stop needing to prove you're okay. You're not performing growth. You're not trying to heal faster. You're not chasing some version of yourself who's always calm, always productive, always spiritual. You just breathe. You respond instead of react. You walk away without explanation. You stop rereading the texts that hurt you. You don't get the last word, and you're okay with that. Not because you don't care, but because your peace started mattering more than your pride. You stop explaining yourself to people committed to misunderstanding you. You stop diagnosing yourself over every anxious thought. You stop calling yourself broken just because you feel something deeply. You realize healing isn't about becoming someone new. It's about shedding everything you were never meant to carry. It's about unlearning the lies that shaped your identity, that you're too much, that you have to earn love, that your needs are a burden, that you're only valuable when you're useful. None of those were yours to begin with. They were projections, reflections of someone else's limitations. You just internalized them because that's what we do as children. We make everything our fault. It helps us feel a sense of control. If I'm the problem, I can fix it. But you were never the problem. You were a child doing their best in an environment that didn't know how to nurture what was soft, sensitive, wild, or wise in you. You didn't need to be fixed. You needed to be felt, to be seen, to be met. And now, that's your job. Not to blame those who failed you, but to stop failing yourself. You are not your trauma. You are not your triggers. You are not your patterns. You are the awareness beneath them, the presence that sees them, the consciousness that gets to choose something new. And maybe right now, that choice is simply this: to stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start asking, "What happened to me? And what do I need now?" That's where your power returns. So many of us go through life like emotional archaeologists, digging through memories, dissecting our wounds, searching for that one moment, one answer, one person to blame for the pain we carry. But maybe it's not about solving yourself like a puzzle. Maybe it's about softening, letting go of the idea that you have to be healed to be lovable, or that you need to be emotionally perfect to finally deserve rest. You are not behind. You are not broken. You are not late to your life. You are just human. And being human means you will feel things that don't make sense. You will outgrow people you swore you'd love forever. You will stay too long, leave too early, forgive too quickly, or hold on for too long. That doesn't make you damaged. That makes you alive. The reason you feel broken might be because you've been trying to fit into a world that rewards numbness, disconnection, and speed, when what your soul craves is slowness, presence, honesty, safety. You don't need to fix who you are. You need to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. Before you were told your sensitivity was a flaw. Before silence became safer than truth. Before you learned to shrink in order to be loved. And if you're seeing this now, maybe it's not random. Maybe this message found you because something inside you is done. Done with the shame, the masks, the noise. You don't need to be further along. You don't need another book, another retreat, another plan. You need yourself, your presence, your breath, your truth. You're not broken. You're remembering. If this resonated, take a moment to subscribe. Drop a comment below, not for the algorithm, but to mark this chapter in your journey. If you made it this far, you're not just watching, you're remembering, returning, reclaiming your inner ground. So trust that the video YouTube shows you next, the one appearing now, is not random. It's the next doorway, the next layer, and it will meet you exactly where you are. We'll see you in the next depth. Depthoria continues.